I'm here with Larry Lawton, YouTuber with hundreds of thousands of followers. I've watched loads of his videos. One's got almost 10 million. He's commenting on heists and the errors in the movies and what's accurate. Larry was almost 20 million, I'm trying to figure out, 15 million pounds UK value. That's almost $20 million is how much jewelry was stolen over the years. He's also got a book, Gangster Redemption, and in the description box below this video are links to his YouTube channel. I urge you to watch his videos and subscribe, and if you want to check out his book, the link is down there as well. Thank you for coming on, Larry. Can you tell us firstly, robbing stuff?
Well, like obviously our story's kind of, we grew up middle class, uh, decent neighborhood. I was in the Bronx, New York. I was around gangsters my whole life. And I mean, you made me laugh with your story. I knew Sammy Gravano. I didn't know he killed 20 people. We knew he was a murderer, obviously, when I was in Brooklyn. And then he also had a club on Stillwell Avenue. He was big in the construction business. So I knew him pretty good. Enough to know he was a psychopath. I mean, he was a psychopath, but turned snitch and did all the things that, obviously I don't like. Listen, that's past. I don't even look at my life like that anymore. But I grew up in that world. I grew up in the gangster world. I grew up hustling, like talking about you. I was looking some stuff up before the show with you, sales. That's what we all did. I mean, I remember when I was doing coke. We were doing a lot of coke. So I had buddies I saved. I had a drug dealer. I saved his life. He owed some mobsters a key of coke, and he owed him 30,000. So they were going to kill him. They wanted to make an example out of him. I was known as Crazy Larry, and I went in to see these guys and said, "Listen, here's the 30,000. No, we're going to make an example of this guy. He's not going to get away with this shit." I went, I pulled a gun. I said, "Listen, anybody touches this fucking guy, I'm going to kill somebody in the room." And they knew this guy's crazy. I get called back. This is in Florida, Shaun. I get called back to New York. My boss says, "What are you doing down there? You're supposed to be low key, I used to go back and forth from Florida to New York. And he says, what are you, and I told him, I said, "Listen, man, I'm making money with this guy. We're all making money. I didn't do anything wrong. Hey, you can't be threatening people. He's a made dude. You're going to get a They squashed it, and I went back, and these guys were all, "Okay, Larry," because my boss was very powerful. He worked at Castellano, and then he worked for, of course, Gotti after all that. But that was a big kind of a struggle back in those days. So anyway, so my boss, squashed that. These guys said, "Okay, this drug deal owed me 30K." And he ends up giving me 45K. I used to love to lend money to drug dealers and criminals because I know I'm getting the money back. Either the only way you don't get your money back is if they die or they go to jail. That's it. If they're out, you're going to get your money. You wait for their score. He made a score. I made 45. To this day, I know him. I won't mention his name, of course. And he's out, and he never did anything, never went to prison. And matter of fact, even, man, you're making memories. I actually had drugs sent to somebody for a bachelor party. I had a couple 8 balls of coke sent to someone for a bachelor party from prison. But I don't do, Shaun, let me just get this straight. I partied a lot, did a lot of crazy stuff. I believe in obviously, listen, everything you do, you control it. Don't let it control you, whatever it is. But getting back to that story with that guy, the drug dealer. And so I used to get drugs anytime I wanted and stuff of that nature. So I used to buy an 8 ball, and then I bought a gram, and then I bought, and then I said, "Wait a minute. I can make you remember the little bottles, with the little spoon on them, the little bottles for Coke. They were
Yeah,
like little with a plastic top and a little bottle. It was a gram bottle. You actually
yeah.
put a gram in the bottle. So I used to know. I said, "Wait a minute, I can do that a little better. Cut that up, and I make 3 times my money or twice my money, like you were talking about with your ecstasy." I'm laughing. I'm saying we all did the same exact thing, and then that money. I never got into drugs, which was the best thing I ever did as a dealer because as well as I do, and I did the law for 10 years. To get your audience a little bit of background, I did the law for 10 years. I was in prison from 96 to 2007. When you when you were in 97 to 2000, I read that. I was in prison in 96, and I went and I spent 11 straight years maximum security. I was in the worst prison. Atlanta was the worst prison in the United States. There were more murders. Atlanta, we had a murder a month for 18 months. It was just a psycho place, but that's where they had.
What's the racial mix, like the gang structure there?
Oh my God! You know, I always tell people as a white guy, listen, there's 15% white. I mean, that was it. There was about 60% colored, about 30% Hispanic, and 10, 12%, 15% is white. I was a little bit lucky because I was associated with organized crime, so I had kind of credibility. I talk a story on one of my channels about suitcasing, hiding something up your rectum, and I actually had to hide a note up your ass to say, to pass from prison to prison. And it's kind of funny because you understand all this, I mean, when I talk to a guy who's been away for a little bit, he kind of understands. But after going to those prisons and obviously understanding how the system works, I did the law for 10 years. And the reason, listen, we all know drug cases, they keep conspiracies going forever. A guy makes a phone call to you. You ain't did shit with 3 years, 4 years. You did a deal with him. Haven't did anything for 4.5 years. It's a 5-year statute. Guy calls you and says, hey, Shaun, hey, you know anyone that can get X? You go, man, don't call me anymore. I don't do that shit. You're in a conspiracy. They now take that statute of limitation and they extend it another 5 years because you're now in that. Robberies are easier, Shaun. You do a fucking robbery, you're done. You know what I mean? The robbery date's the date, you're pretty much done. But they ended up getting me for organized crime. They got me under the RICO Act, and I ended up doing 4 12-year sentences. I ended up beating a life sentence. They wanted me for life. I'm not proud of it, but I was a pretty bad guy. I used to lay guys on curbs. I was a pretty tough guy, pretty wild guy. Did the club scene, owned clubs, did all that kind of stuff. I was a party at swingers clubs. I did it all. I had a lot of fun in my life. Still do. But I often look at the why I did what I did. Everybody looks back and, I'm a little older than you, but we're close. We're both born in the 60s. I was born in 61. You were born in 68.
Yeah.
And I look at it a different time, those 80s. Late 70s, 80s. 80s was a wild time, as you know. I mean, everywhere in the United States. Forget Miami. I mean, Miami was the drug capital of the world. And it got crazy back in those days. And it was fun. I hate to say fun. You look at it and you say to yourself, it makes us who we are today. But you didn't want to go through what you had to go through. All the negative that comes with that, the prison, the losing the family, I just tell people what they don't understand about liberty. Freedom to get up and go into we're in lockdown. We all are, and I wish everybody well doing this. And I do PSAs for this. The coronavirus is everywhere, even where you are, I'm sure. And I look at that, Shaun, and I say, what are we going to do? You and I have a little bit look. I lived in prison. I was in the hole for 3 years, 11 straight months in the hole, fighting, doing my stuff. I fought the prison. I did stuff. I was just crazy. And, now this is an isolation to me, but boy, I got a TV, I got a microwave, I got privacy, I got a bathroom.
You're not getting your asshole checked every day?
You what?
You're not getting your asshole checked every day.
No. I used to tell people, okay, Ben, lift them up, turn around, squat, I told people I could do that. One time I was speaking at a mega event, and I said to people, I said, listen, I don't know how many people in this room can turn around, take their clothes off, lift their balls, spread their ass. The audience gets silent. And I said, I could do it right in front of this whole audience, and it wouldn't even mean anything. And they're like, oh, my God, this is going to be a wild talk. And then I tell them, one of my opening lines is, can anybody in here hide a knife up their ass? It gets so quiet, it's like, and then I explained why I had to do it. I said, you take a toothbrush holder, you put the shank in the toothbrush holder, you put masking tape, you insert it in your rectum, take out a line. They can't find it. They don't know if you have a bullet in you or a fake knee, you know. I said, get out of here, Lawton. Go. You get to the yard, you swap with your friends, you take it out. I said, it saved my life. I says, if I didn't do that, you know, in the places I was at, maximum security prisons, you know, you do what you got to do. And as I tell, they laugh. I go, listen, we all got 7 extra inches in our ass to hide whatever you want. And here's the boot, Joe. You're going to laugh at this one. I'm the only ex-con in the United States who's an honorary police officer, and the only ex-con in the United States who's been recognized on the floor of the United States Congress. And I could say this with confidence. I'm not a cop lover because I've seen too much corruption. The prison system, you mentioned in one of your shows, I watched how corrupt it is. It's built on corruption. Private prisons is a bottom line on a person's name. You can't, I love to debate people. I've spoke at Congress on this, and I've debated people on this. You can't tell me they do this. First of all, I asked one guy, one of my followers, you know, he goes, why do you hate private prisons? It's not about hating anything. It's a bottom line. When you put a bottom line on a human being, you can't tell me the guy warden in that facility comes back and his numbers aren't the right. What does he got to do? Get his numbers up. Cut food. Cut maybe a guard shift so there's less security around the facility and somebody gets killed. What are you going to do? It's a number. They don't give a shit. In corporate, like GEO, and it used to be CCA, which is Community Corrections America. They changed their name. They keep doing this stuff. Those two companies, $1 billion companies, and they're living off the hardship of people who we know deserve that second shot. You know, myself. Listen, we did what we did. You know, we were crazy, we were wild. You know, we used brains, obvious, high intelligent guys. I mean, I know my IQ, I'm sure is very high, yours too. And it's about we needed that. First, we're older, we grow out of things. You know, you look at your life better. And look what you're doing now. You're educating people like me, showing them, hey, listen, you're going to get caught. Something's going to happen. You're going to get caught up, and you're going to prison. And when I went to prison, I had a wild life, and I mean, I had great times. You know, my 2 wives are, you know, good friends of mine to this day. We were into the scene, you know, we did all the South Florida crazy scenes and the club scenes and everything else. And to this day, I'm a very open individual. You know, I don't hate anybody. People ask me, they go, how did you accept a badge from a police department? And I says, because I've got offered that many times. But I research them like they research me. I vet them. If they're an agency that wants to help people and not arrest them, I'll look at them better. If they're one of these assholes, all these people all need to be in jail, get the fuck out of here. You're not gonna, I'm not gonna deal with you. I'm not gonna want to help you, in your agency and your people. But if you're a cop, the cop that I deal with, the chief of police, what a great guy. He come to vets me, and I vetted him, and we were on a show, one of the big shows, and he says, I said, listen, when he hires people, he asked the cop, why do you want to be a cop in this city? He knows the guy can recite the bullshit, protect and serve, put cop in this city. If the guy doesn't say, I want to help these people, he don't hire them. He goes, they have to have that inner core of wanting to help. Not be a powerful dude with a gun and a badge, and those assholes that are in prisons or everywhere. He hires guys that are community-minded. Here's what he does. You'll love this, Shaun. I hope cops listening to this get this. He doesn't give out awards for most DUIs, most arrests. He gives out awards for a person who changed a lady's flat, a cop that teaches Little League, a cop that speaks at events. He gives awards out for positive things. And he said to me, he goes, Larry, what police chiefs are missing, the cops want to please the chief. That's just human nature. In law enforcement, change comes from the top down. It's not like a big thing where change comes from the top. So if they want to help the community, he says, if I give them awards for changing flats, he goes, I saw a cop when I was going home. He didn't see me. Changing a lady's flat. I brought everybody in, the city, the council. We gave him a big award. He goes, I had everybody look, people said, what do you do with your police? He goes, they all want to help people. That's what we need. Cops don't need to be the assholes they've become. And I'm sorry, I got to be honest. Unless a cop is community minded, now they got to get the bad guy off the street, the psychopath, and you know that, Shaun. But you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
I agree with you entirely. The war on drugs has turned a lot of the public against the cops. Hassling kids for weed and all that bullshit, it's completely unnecessary. But going back to your story, Larry, what made you fall into the robberies, that lifestyle?
You know, I grew up in the Bronx, and where I was, it was my neighbor was a mobster, a maid member. The guy down the block was a bookie. You know, I don't know what they call it in England. They have it's legal in England, but in the United States, it was bookmaking and loan sharks. And another guy was, he used to hustle stolen goods. And our family never bought a pack of underwear unless it was out of a trunk of a car. And that was my dad and my family. You know what I mean? It was like that.
Yeah.
The guy would come around. His name, I'll know his name, dude. Joe. I won't give his last name. He died, but his kids are around. I know them. He'd pull up in his Cadillac, and the trunk would open, and there'd be hot stuff all over the place. And well, okay, it was that kind of community. You either went in a mob or you become a cop or a fireman or something like that in New York City. And I ended up going the wrong route. I ended up stealing cars. First thing I did was I was running bookmaking. And I figured, wait a minute, you're telling me I get a 25 cents for every dollar. He goes, yeah, whether they win or lose. And then you'll get a tip. I went door to door, Shaun, at 12 years old, 11, 12 years old. I'm going door to door to the teacher, to the plumber, to the cop, whoever it is, and they're betting $5. And I'm like, wait a minute, I get $1.25. I'm liking this game. So you play, you do that game and you do it for a long time. And I was making $150, $120 in a week. And then when someone hit the ticket, they're giving me $5. And I said, wait a minute. Loved it. Loved the you guys like you and I couldn't sit still. There's no way. So then what I did? Hey, guy comes up, let's rob cars. Hey, guy from the Purple Gang. Purple Gang was a big, very violent gang. I used to go with my dad to the bars when they were paying. My dad built the World Trade Center, the two big buildings that went down. He was the head guy in the union. And so he used to do payoffs. Literally, it was payoffs. I mean, that's the way it was back in the 70s. It was built from 68 to 72. So here I am, a little kid. I was born in 61, so I'm 10 years old, going with my dad, 11 years old, going to the bars, placing bets, meeting all these people. I'm like, this is the way to do it. I met a guy when I got a little older, about 15, who was in the Purple Gang. And he goes, hey, kid, I know your dad. You're a straight-up kid. He goes, you want to make some money? You tell a kid you want to make money. And he says, yeah, you just drop these cars off. You get any car. We don't care how you get it. This is before LoJack and all these, devices that follow cars. And he says, you bring any car there, you give you $500. He goes, it has to be a certain year newer. I said, so for real? He goes, yeah, $500. Just come in, we'll give you the cash and you leave. So we started learning how to rob cars. And when I mean rob cars, people used to go outside and warm their car up in the winter and go back, get their coffee. While their car's warming up, we'd go take it. And we drive it there, get $500. It was easy money. But I knew I was in a bad way. And I got out and I went into the Coast Guard, the United States Coast Guard. I'm retired military, actually. I got hurt in the Coast Guard. I went in at 17. I got hurt. I was in almost 8 years, and I got hurt in 84. And when I went in 79, I got out in 84. I got hurt in 84. I got out in 86. But even before I was out, that was on what they call medical, like just stay at home, doing anything you want. I was back right into mob business. I mean, literally dead deep. I was a muscle for a card game, like a bouncer for a card game and in Queens. Learned a bookmaking game from a bookie in New York. Was the biggest layoff guy in New York, a Jewish guy named Mac. And he taught me the business. I mean, amazing. And then I go to, this is after I got out of Coast Guard, and then I grew up into, wait a minute, my first major robbery, was a setup. I made, I was telling somebody on my show, my YouTube show, they go, do you remember your last, everybody remembers their first job. and major job. I made $150,000 in a bag of cash. Holy shit! Wait a minute, this is mine. I ended up, that was a setup. Then I said, wait, this is too good. And I started, then I ended up becoming the biggest jewel robber in the United States. To this day, I'm still known as the biggest jewel robber. Robbed between 15 and 18 million, over 20 stores, 20 something stores. And I paid for it. You know, they wanted to get me for the whole thing. No one went to prison. I'm one of the only men ever to go away on a RICO alone. And we know what a RICO is.
Yeah. So over the years then, what tricks of the trade did you learn to become a master craftsman?
You know, we're going to make this a great show. You know, people, could you just put in there how to rob? No, only kid. No, I've learned, you know, why and how, and obviously the setup. I talk about it on my own channel. The number one thing you can do in robbery is you actually plan a robbery from the back forward. Everybody thinks, oh no, you got to first see if you can get away. When you find a store, you don't look at it, oh, okay, I can get in. Well, how are you getting out? So you actually look at your getaway. Is it close enough to a certain exit? Is it got a back entrance that you can come in or out? Or if it doesn't, what time of day? When is the sun going to hit the window so nobody could look? So you know the time of the day. Then you know what police agencies are close by when the mailman comes. You casing a store, it encompasses a whole bunch of stuff, Shaun. And once you get good and better, you know, and like your trade, I mean, when you first learned Ecstasy, I remember you saying, hey, I doubled my money. Wait a minute, this way. Well, I'm making this kind of money. And I said, wait, I can really do well in this. And then, of course, I never screwed my bosses. And I was with the mob. And, you know, I used to go back to New York, and I used to give him a big envelope. It was funny. He would say, hey, come here, kid. He goes, and I'd give him the envelope, and I'd, say, hey, you want a ring or something? He'd look, you gotta take some. Be careful, kid. Be careful. And, it's funny. It was the old boss, Dominic. And so when I gave them envelopes, I never shorted them, Shaun. And I'll tell you why. It's not that I couldn't. Nobody knew exactly, because I was actually getting through a different family. I was associated with the Gambinos. That's how I knew Sammy and that piece of shit. And when I say knew him, I knew him in passing. I didn't know him. You probably knew him better than I did. I'm sure you did. I knew him of who he was, and I knew he was a killer. And everybody did. No one knew how many people he killed, and I didn't like what he did. It was a big excuse in my mind. Oh, John was going to do this. Come on, the feds do that to everyone. I'm not even judging him, that part of it. But you got your break, and now you're selling ecstasy again. You know what I mean? From New York, and now you go to Arizona under the witness protection, and you sell. You got your fucking break, and you really got. Come on, man. He deserved to go away. I mean, forever. I know if I did something wrong, I would be gone forever. I know that, and I don't know. In the United States, I was obviously I was the biggest jewel robber, and they got me, and it was a big deal. It was in the papers and all that, and. Florida, and I got the biggest robbery in this county that I've ever been yet. But I know if I mess up, Shaun, I'm going away. I mean, I'm that conscious of it, and I don't wanna. I mean, listen, I'm here talking to you. I'll have drinks with you. We'll meet. I'll come to. I'd rather do that. Oh, party, have fun, but I'm not gonna do something. So I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I'm not.
Yeah.
To that route in life, and I'm not gonna do the crazy shit that I did. I don't mean private crazy. You know what I meant, crime or something. Why? We can make more money. We can, if you don't listen, to make the money we were making is crazy, but we could still live comfortable, sitting in my bedroom doing a podcast with you. Even though the corona, I'm usually doing meetings or speaking or something of that nature. I employ 4 people and give them lives and stuff of that nature. So why do I want to ruin that, and live with that burden? You know about the burden.
Yeah, absolutely. How did you pick which places to rob, and how did you case them out?
Well, it's funny, when I knew when my safe at my house had under 50,000, I knew it was time to go look. I said, okay, I cased over 1,000 jewelry stores.
Wow.
1,000. So and how I did it was I went from uh, area to area. I was up and down the East Coast. And the reason I did that, my layoff people, where I got rid of my stuff, which is very important. Nobody ever went to prison. I don't know who they are. I don't know. Anyway, they're in New York. And so I knew I had to get rid of my stuff within 24 hours. It's out of my hands. Things are burned. Labels are taken off. Signature pieces are broken up and melted gold and diamonds are reset, getting that process. So I worked from Florida up the East Coast. And it didn't mean that I went systematically. I mean, I went from Florida, sometimes to Maryland, sometimes to Georgia, sometimes to Connecticut. Could not rob in New York. That was the goal. My bosses said, listen, you don't touch New York. Because there's guys there that are protected by one family and the other. And we don't want a war over something. So I made sure, I stuck to my rules, gave the exact, like if I hit a store and my take was 300,000, Dominic got his envelope for 30,000, and I could have gave him 20, Shaun. But why am I going to do that and ever worry about him hearing something or something? He's in a conversation with different families, but you never know. Oh, hey, yeah, it was nice, man. John gave Larry a nice envelope for 300K. Or then now, wait a minute, he gave me 10 grand. Where the fuck is that coming back? Let me talk to him and put that doubt in his mind. I never did that. And it was not, I was the guy who was the crazy guy. I was the guy who would break your arm, laid guys' arms on curbs, did crazy shit. But you don't want that. I always say to people, I went to prison, and you know how it is. They take everything from you. Everything. I went to prison. They took houses, cars, boats, money, nothing. I got out $67,000 in debt. And I tell people, I said, but you know what they never took from me? Is my word. I told Shaun today I would be on this show at 11. That's my word. Now, if something happened, I would, of course, email you or text you or whatever it is, and we'd set it up differently. But I'm not going to not do that. My word to this day is what makes, I think, me unique, or I think you unique. I think when you tell someone, you should do it. I think we're losing that in today's world. I don't know how England is, but I just think we all have to have that one thing. When you were in prison and I was in prison, I'm looking at that stainless steel piece of metal above my sink, and I knew they took everything, but they couldn't take who I was.
Yeah.
They tried. They tried.
In prison, you really are stripped down to your word, and that's how you earn your respect. Just going back to the robberies before we get to the prison bit then.
Sure.
So did you wait until there was nobody there, it was closed, and you just went in, broke in and took it, or guns blazing? How did you do it?
Oh, no. I never robbed that way. I robbed when they were open. I robbed and took people down, tied them up, put them in the back. Some funny stories of my robberies, people coming in and they're piling up and I'm putting them in flex cuffs. I didn't have to hurt, and I didn't hurt anybody. I never want. To this day, I have a soft spot for women, elderly, kids, minorities, like people who want to pick on somebody who's not as tough as them. I want to snap and say, pick on me, motherfucker. You're going to know where you come from if I hit you with a fucking crowbar. But I like to, and I never did that in a robbery either. I mean, I was rough. I was tough. You will get on, get on the floor. Boom, boom. I put them down and put them in, flex cuffs, and then calm the situation. Close your eyes. Boom. I never gagged people. Didn't want them to choke or anything. It was funny. One robbery. I'm in Sarasota, Florida, and like I said, I would do these robberies. I'd case the mailman's coming, where the cops were in the area, where the store people are coming, whose cars were. It was all done. Might have taken me 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it took. I knew that area, knew what. There was no surprises. So I'm doing a robbery at Sarasota. I'll never forget. It was next to I say that now, and it's a big thing online about me. Some guy did it of me. I got to show it to you. You'll laugh. But anyway, so next door they had a dive shop, scuba diving shop, and people go there, but nobody ever pays attention to this jewelry, the jewelry store next to it. So I do this jewelry store, and I'm in there, and Two old people come in. So, you know, in jewelry stores, they have the buzzers on the door. So I like that. I'm in. Nobody can just surprise me. You know, I know who's coming. I can go up there. Here now, it's already taken. Guns in there. They knock on the door. I look. I walk to the door. You know, hit the buzzer. Let them in. And I open my jacket. I say, "You're in a robbery." And the old people go, "Oh!" I go, "No, no, 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 no! Stand up! No, 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 no! Just come with me. Just come with me." So they come in. The guy's on the floor, tied up with another guy, and whatever the girl guy. I sit these two people in a chair. Don't cuff them. Don't, you know, I used to use the flex cuffs. You know, the wire. I just leave them in the chair. I said, "Listen, look at the wall, and I'll be out of here. But you can't leave for 5 minutes." Okay, okay, you know, and I said, "I'm not going to cuff you, I'm not gagging you, just not nothing. You're in a chair, two old people." So I do it. One of my driver messed up, didn't come around back, came back. I went in and out. I said, "I'm just checking on you." Of course I wasn't. So they said, "Oh, no, 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 we won't move." So the next day in the newspaper, they said, "Oh, he was a nice guy. Got away with 800,000. He was a nice guy."
Did it ever go so wrong that you had to abandon the mission?
Well, beforehand, absolutely. I was going to do one of the biggest scores ever, over 12 million in Miami, and I was going to do it at the Fountain Blue Hotel, which you heard of. The Fountain Blue is one of the biggest hotels. Inside the Fountain Blue, they had a store called H. Stern Jewelers, one of the big jewelers. They had one in Bow Harbor. I don't know if you know anything about Miami. They had one in Miami, you know, two in Miami. They were mega jewelers, big time. I planned this caper for a month more. I was going to take the guy hostage, put dynamite on him, have his family at home, bring him in, get the stuff. It was a $12 million score. My end was about 4 million. And I said, "Okay, I could do this. I'm getting out of here. You know, I already had it set with my guy. They were going to give me $1 million up front, $1 million, you know, and they wouldn't screw me. They'd never screw because they know Larry would come back and shoot somebody." So I had it all planned, literally right to the last day. Not only last day, I was behind the bushes in the guy's house ready to go. And a dog came by and spooked me. And I just had this feeling that something wasn't right. And I never did it. And you want to talk about things happen for a reason? If I did that robbery, I would never have been out of prison. First of all, that robbery would have been kidnapping. And that's a whole nother charge. There's no statute of limitations on it either. Kidnapping, you know, there's no such thing as statute of limitations. The more, I mean, it was karma, good karma, that I didn't do that robbery and, you know, put it aside. And I was able to do that. I wasn't listen, I did a lot of drugs in my life, every drug in the book. Like you talk about ecstasy, man, some funny shit. Even in prison, I just shit fucking acid and ecstasy and shit will blow you away. You know that, obviously. You're the acid king, but I wish I knew you. I bought a lot. I mean, just the party, but I never let my brain, you know, I had rules, my crew, you couldn't drink, you couldn't be drugged. I'll put a gun to your head. You ain't gonna, this isn't something you can mess up. You know, you needed your brain, your full capacity of your brain.
Did you have consistent crime partners over the years, or did people come and go?
No, well, I had a couple come and goes, but my brother, who I'm going to be interviewing, ended up going away. He didn't go away because of me. He went away because his wife told on him.
Oh.
Story. That's gonna. And you want to hear the best, Shaun? She took on him 8 days before the statute of limitations.
Oh.
8 days. You know the 5-year statute of limitations.
Oh.
8 more days, and he could have. They indicted him. Got the indictment. 8 days. They didn't even arrest him at 8. They didn't arrest him for a few more months, but once they indict you, that's it. 8 days, and it was over stupid shit. Whatever, of course, man. There's funny stories there, and listen, that's a whole nother. I'm gonna have a whole series now, but I'm gonna be interviewing my brother. I'm actually doing a cooking series which my audience is going nuts for. I did some stuff you probably saw, boiling water with stingers and lighting fires. And if you look on my channel, there's some great stuff. People love it. But I'm making a special dish that I used to make for dudes in prison. And we used to cook for 10, 12 people. I used to cook. It's prison pasta, my prison pasta. So I'm going to be making it. And my show is I'm bringing in a special guest. So I'm having certain guests. I already got football players and professional fighters and some actors I know from being in the TV business. So they're going to come and we're going to sit down and rap and stuff and eat my prison pasta or whatever I'm cooking. So they're going to be on. I was on Con Air 16 times, Shaun.
Wow.
16 times. That federal plane that don't fuck around.
Before we get to the prison stories, can you tell us how the police caught up with you and what the day of your arrest was like?
Like most. The day I got arrested was a Monday. They caught up with me by great police work. I didn't have a snitch on my case. The FBI, unbeknownst to me, they would flood an area. They knew my MO, but I didn't know how much they knew, of course. And they would actually confiscate cameras in the area. And I mean, they came in, little did I know how much I was wanted. They knew my MO. They knew not who I was, but they knew the kind of guy who did it. But the guy who caught me was named Matt Mullen. He said, I've been looking for you for 6 years. And nice guy. And, it was a cat and mouse game. I didn't know it. And he wasn't out to get me or anything. He got it because I wasn't hurting people, Shaun. I didn't hurt innocent people. I never did in my life. I'm not going to hurt people like that. I protect people like that. Now, if you were in my game down where you were and you didn't want to run into me, kind of probably what happened to you. I got that one with Sammy. I don't know what happened exactly with that, but kind of like that. That's the way we grew up. It was areas and stuff, and you either got your cut or you didn't, and nobody could just jump in and say, hey, I'm going to make money here. This is our legal territory. That's how we looked at it. Wrong as that is, of course. But so what happened was good police work. I was casing a store, and when you case a store, you don't case it with fake plates or anything like I used during robberies. I had a legitimate plate. The car was rented from a guy who worked for me in the bookmaking business. And he was a big guy, 350 pounds, so he didn't look like anything. He rented the car. And this lady got my plate while casing a store miles away from where we were, miles from the actual robbery. And she wanted to sell me a ring or do something. She says, oh, I got his number for something. I know. They used to get your plate number and try to call you back. Oh, I'll give you a better deal. Because when I went and tried to case her store, I asked for what diamonds, how much I could spend. I had a whole spiel. And she wanted a big sale because, I'm thinking I can get $10,000. Let me tell you something. Sure, the jewelry business is the biggest crime business there is. Them, I'm talking about. Boy, do they steal from people. I'll give your whole audience a lesson on what to look for in a jewelry store. And if they don't have it, run out of there. Don't walk out of the jewelry store. If a jewelry store doesn't have a 10-powered microscope on the display case, leave. Don't trust them. They don't want you to look at a diamond the right way. So that's bull ass. They tell you all the wrong things. I'm telling you, I went to the GIA Institute. I know all their tricks. And a diamond is going to be the third largest purchase you will ever make. It'll be a house, a car, and a diamond. And most people don't do their research. They go to one guy and they got a slick salesman. And before you know it, they're spending 10, 12 grand. And they don't realize I could have got them that diamond for $6 grand. To this day, Shaun, when I ride by a store and I see 70% off sale, I go, what the fuck were you selling it to begin with? If you can take 70% off, you still got profit. And how much really are you're screwing people? But that's just the business. I can go into the business because De Beers got the market. They bought up Russian mines. They could have, the Russians could have flooded the market and devalued diamonds. De Beers bought them out. I mean, it's a big game. That's a big game. That's bigger than you and I. But anyway, so this lady gave my plate number to the FBI when they came to her store. She goes, oh, yeah, there was a guy who was nice dressed, And I had a whole spiel what I was saying, and it was the same spiel. And so the FBI gets that plate and they look up the guy on it. Okay, it's not him. Obviously, he's 355 pound, 50-pound guy. I was about 180 pounds at the time, 200. Sure enough, now I'm 240. So sure enough, they look at the co-driver, and it's me. And I have a record. I got association with organized crime. One time I got caught with 35,000 cash in my glove compartment and a few grams of coke, partying, going to Atlantic City. I told him I sold a Corvette. It was actually a guy I just loaned money. It was a legit thing. One of the street guys. And he gave me my money back, and I was partying with him, and I had about, maybe 5 grams, maybe an 8-ball and a few other grams, whatever. And I was heading to Atlantic City, and I was speeding like a jerk-off idiot. And me and a friend, and high as kites, and I get pulled over by the New Jersey State Police as state troopers, and they open the glove compartment, 35,000 comes out, and it's like, oh shit. And then where'd you get there? I ended up getting out of it, got probation, lost money on that. That's a whole story. But so they knew, this guy's a little bit shady, little bit. They end up taking my picture to other places around the country, and they started putting the puzzle together. Mm-hmm. So when they got me, it was 30 days after that robbery, a robbery that went wild. The robbery, what happened was a shootout. Now, I didn't shoot. I didn't have a gun. I had a BB gun. I didn't need a gun. Why I'm not shooting anybody. You just need something to get over the counter, tie people up, and you're done. You don't even want a gun. What do you want a gun for? So anyway, we do this, and somebody notices us in the store. Unbeknownst to us, there was an air conditioner got robbed on the roof of the place about 3 weeks before the robbery. How do I know that? I don't. So the people were on guard for noises. They ended up hearing something. A lady comes up to the window of the jewelry store, looks in like that, and sees us, and we notice her. So go. We're running out. This guy gets out of the cuffs. I don't know. There's only one guy in the store. Gets out of the cuffs, and he starts shooting. We thought he took his gun. The bullets are flying, and holy shit. I get in my car, Shaun. I get behind the wheel. He levels the gun right at me. Oh. And I duck. It goes right in my head, right here. And it goes in my partner, my brother. He bends. It goes in his back and in his arm. Oh. So he's hit. He goes, I'm hit. I go, I'm hit. And there's blood dribbling down my side. I look in the mirror, and there's blood dribbling. And I was only grazed right on the top of the head. And where we had, again, if I wasn't good, I had my route. I knew the timing, knew everything, how to get out of there. If I didn't have that, again, I was caught. I end up going, this is in Pennsylvania. I end up getting us to Brooklyn where we were, and had a place fix the glass. The car was rented from Florida, so there was no registration on the glass. Had everything changed, did everything quick, sent my brother back to Florida on a plane. Back then, this was pre 9/11. So you didn't need IDs and all this shit, and it wasn't metal detect. Flying was a lot better. So, at least for criminals. So we end up sending him back. He gets fixed up. That's a whole nother story. He's done. He still has it in him. But anyway, I get fixed up. We're all done. We're all good. 30 days later, I'm home. I already got everything out of my house. Anything I had in my house. Stuff like, any kind of guns or anything that I did have, like jewelry and massive cash, anything. I got everything out of the house. So I had a safe in the house. But they actually didn't go in the safe. They could have got another 50 grand, but they didn't. So anyway, we're in the house, and I was running bookmaking stuff Thursday night because it was after in New York, in the States. So all of a sudden, my wife said something during the day. I saw somebody, and I used to have the neighborhood locked down. I had the young kids, everybody. If there was vans anywhere, hey, Mr. Larry, this. I used to throw a party for 1,000 people. I had 1,000 hot dogs, 1,000 hamburgers, 600 years, rides, car shows, dunk tanks, bands. Every 4th of July, we had called Larry's 4th of July block party. So anyway, and we got shirts and everything. They're still out there. I got to get one and show you. So I have one. So anyway, she says something. I didn't think anything. About 5 o'clock, I lived in the end of a cul-de-sac. And she goes out, and I had a 15-month-old baby at the time, my daughter, Ashley. So my wife goes to get the mail, and all of a sudden I hear her say, "They're coming!" And she's screaming it. Now I jump up, and the door flies open. Bang! I turn around, and I head to the patio, and they're coming through with the ninja man, whatever freaking shit. Guns everywhere. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. I mean, they're going to blow you away. And, helicopters, the whole works. I mean, it was a zoo. The whole thing was a zoo. And then, but they weren't bad either. I'm not, again, they did what they did. They hit me hard. They knew it. They were planning this for a while. I'm sure they had their meetings and everything. And they knew everything. They knew everything. And sure enough, so I ended up from that day on. That was in December 2nd of 1996, and I went to prison, and I didn't get out until August 24th of 2007. So I had 12-year sentence. I had four 12-year sentences, but they ran them concurrent, and I beat a life sentence. If they didn't go with that, I beat the life sentence by beating the gun charge. They originally charged me with a gun charge, which is a 924C, if the law. And I didn't have a gun, so they can't prove I had a gun. So through a bunch of hearings, they dropped the gun charge. When they dropped the gun charge, I had eyewitnesses from all these states. I said, well, if you give me the 12, I won't go to trial in every one of your federal districts. Every one. I would have cost them millions. So they agreed to that, and I ended up what they call Rule 20. That means they put all your cases together, and they ended up convicting me. To this day, I had the most federal convictions. I even got another conviction in 2001 while I was in prison for lie. I got the same charge that Bill Clinton got, President Clinton, which was 18 U.S.C. 1001, which was filing a false statement, because I didn't tell him my brother was my partner, but they ended up figuring it out after all that shit with his wife, and then they charged me for lying to him. And that's a whole funny story. But so I ended up going away in 96, and I don't get out until 2007.
Where were you housed unsentenced?
Right after sentencing?
No, before you got sentenced, where did they have you?
They had me in actual prisons. Back then, I was in Schuylkill, Pennsylvania, and I was in Farrington, New Jersey. Those were two main and county jails. So
what was the county jails like?
Oh, I was in the worst. I was in Camden County Jail. I was in Elizabeth County Jail. I was in Allenwood County Jail. Some of the shitty jails, and the prisons itself. They put you in what they call orange carrot unit, and that carrot unit is where you're pre-trial. And those places I didn't mind because I knew people. I mean, I was in the mobster lifestyle, and I'm from New York, so I kind of knew people. So it was a way to, okay, I'm figuring this shit out. And that's how I ended up beating my life sentence, by actually doing the law work myself. I ended up getting my law. I have enough credits to be a lawyer, but I can't be a lawyer because I'm a convicted felon. But I got a paralegal degree. So I did the law for 10 years, won cases. You know how the prison is. I did cases. I won 2255s. Were you in federal or state?
State.
How did you stay in state with an ecstasy case? Usually that's big time fed.
It was a multi-agency investigation. All the resources that had been on Sammy the Bull were put on me. But when everything went down, the feds dropped it and left it with the state.
You don't know how lucky you are. If you were in the feds, you weren't going to do, 9, whatever you did, and then they get rid of you out of the state, deported you. They will fuck you so good, the feds, because they got the money.
Yeah.
I used to laugh. People say, I'd rather be in the state than I'd rather be in the feds state. Not when you come to maximum security prisons. I've been in both. When you're in maximum security prisons, the feds don't give a shit who you are, how much money you got, what your name is. The feds don't give a fuck. End of story. Now, in the States, there's local people there. Somebody knows the guard. They've been working in that facility in this place. The feds, they transfer Larry Lawton all over the fucking country on the federal plane, Con Air. State's a state. They're bad. Obviously, maximum security is maximum security. But when you get to the feds, the max, we had 2,000 inmates, Shaun. 880 had life.
Wow.
200 of those are psychopaths, fucking psychopaths. They will fucking 200 fight their case legally, 400 get a lover, do their thing, tattoo, all that, and 200 are fucking psychopaths that I don't want to see out living next to you or me or my mom. I take care of my mom now, but I don't want those people anywhere. Those are what prison's for.
Have you got
Those.
have you got any stories of what went down with those psychopaths?
I fucking what do you mean? Do I have stories about rapes and people got their anus cut from the top of his anus to his scrotum? There's so many stories. I talk about it. A lot of people got to go check my YouTube out because I actually in my book Gangster Redemption. I'll send you a copy. I'll send you a copy. Just give me your address. And I explain from the day I got it. I was strapped down naked like this, beaten, and a guard took his dick out and pissed on my face in fucking Edgefield. The prison system in the United States, from throwing you in I'm telling you, the federal system is the worst prison system in the world. People know it. I mean, anybody who's been there, and a lot of people now, how many people say, yeah, I was there, Larry, it was so fucking bad. The feds know how to, one, crush it down. Oh, we're the federal. It pisses me off, Shaun, when this country complains about, I don't care what other country, human rights and all this bullshit, and they're doing this to their own people.
Yeah, in their own backyard. Yeah,
Stop
yeah,
that fucking
yeah.
bullshit to me.
What
They're
what
abusing
what's
people
what
today.
you've tantalized the viewers there. What's the full story of why the guard did that? Pissed on you?
Well, I was fighting a friend of mine, and it's in a great story, a sad story. A friend of mine is having chest pains. He lived next to me. He's 46-year-old. His name's James Arch. I don't know if you can use him. He's dead, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, he was having pains, and he goes to the medical, and they say, nah, you're all right. He worked for, as you know, in prison, he works for the CMS, which is the prison maintenance and all that. And the guard he works for says to him, hey, listen, Arch, go to medical, man. You look terrible. And he's been complaining for a week. So he goes to medical. They say, get out of here. You got gas. He walks into the unit. Now, in the unit, you come in, there's a couple of TVs, and that's it. And myself, Jimmy Brown, was sitting there. And Arch walks in, and he says, man, I think I'm dying. We put him in a chair. He keels over, and he dies. Obviously, I tell people, if you ever seen a man die, they defecate, they shit themselves, they whatever. So we're trying to help him, and the guards are screaming, lockdown, lockdown. So we all go to our cells, and what pissed me off is when they put him on a stretcher, you saw the stain on the floor, but when they put him on a stretcher, they were laughing when they took him out on the, like the little golf cart. So then they come to every one of our cells, and they said, oh, you saw him hit his head. I said, what? Fuck you, motherfucker. You killed that mother. That's how I am. I just tell it like it is. And they said, you killed that motherfucker. You guys did that. Click, click. They throw me in the hole. They try to break me. I had guards coming up to the cell saying, man, keep it up, Lawton. You got the warden. We had the biggest piece of shit warden in the system, Lamana. I'll say his name anywhere. I hope that guy I run into him. So he hated me with a passion, this guy. He even said, we got to get Lawton. He said that, and I heard that from guards in the place and people in safety. Because I'm in the hole now. And as you know, in the hole, I'm sure, did you do time in the hole?
Yeah.
Then At the end of the hole, you hear them come. They open the doors, and then you hear, cuff up. Cuff up means put your hand. When they don't do that, they're coming in to fuck you up. So they used to come in, open it up, and they'd fucking open the door and fucking beat the living fuck out of me, drag me out, fucking throw me in what they call an isolation cell, and bring me back. And I'm literally bloodied, all the shit. So I got good. You're going to laugh at this. So the first thing I did, we didn't have the bars. We had the door with the window, the steel door, probably you had. So I cover that. That pisses them off. Lawton, take it down. Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm yelling. I'm going crazy, really. And I said, fuck you. So what do? First thing they do is they open the chute door and they spray me with mace in the face. Ah! Boom, you go down. That shit's nasty as shit. And they spray your ass right in the face. They don't give a shit. Open the door, drag you out. I got smart to that. I said, okay, motherfuckers. I know I'm crazy, Shaun. So The next thing, I take my mattress and I put it up against the door. And they're fucking pissed. They can't kind of, yeah, man, they got everybody there. You know, the way they bring the captain in, they bring it's every time. So they opened the door and they fucking couldn't spray me. So what they do? They took a broom handle and they dropped a concussion grenade right in the fucking thing. Boom! Boom! You go down like a rock. Take me out. Then they got me with the electrical shields, whatever to shock you, whatever. Then they put me in, they couldn't break me, Shaun. And I think of how these scumbags, but, like I always say, there were guards that were good to me and guys that, try to help me and in their own way. And it took me many years to start justifying, if you want to call it that, what they, like that, why didn't they help? Because they're trying to protect their own family. And I know it now. But when that time you're like, what the fuck? You know what's going on? They dragged me out. They come in, they beat me. And I will never forget this. They come and drag me out. And then they 4-point you. And they strip you naked. They 4-point you like this. And a guard took his dick right out and peed on me and said, keep writing senators, Lawton. Keep writing. Meaning that nobody listens, nobody cares. One guy spit. I think the guy spitting on me was just as bad as the guy, listen, I could taste the pee and it gives me this big fucking chill because, I used to think, what sadistic motherfucker would, do that to another human being, and go home and say, oh, I had a great day at work, No wonder guards have one of the highest suicide rates in the world. You know that? The guard profession has one of the highest suicide rates because they know what's going on in there.
Soldiers and guards, very high suicide, yeah.
Yeah, and they know what's going on. And now, again, the good ones you feel for, but they usually quit. They can't make it. They can't live in that environment. The sadistic ones last, and they become higher and higher, and the system becomes worse and worse. And the United States, just to give you a little bit point of view here, you live in England, right? You're right. I don't know how England is. United States has one of the worst prison systems in the free world. It's not like Norway has a great one, Germany has a great one. The United States has 5% of the world's population, but 25% of the world's prison population. That number alone says you're doing something wrong. But you know as well as me, Shaun, it's money. It's big fucking money. And these guys are making money hand over foot. And they don't want to disrupt that. They figure you got a class of people who don't have a voice. If I wasn't writing senators and I didn't have friends on the outside who were writing senators and starting the investigations, they would have killed me because they tried in their own way. And what happened was I had so much heat on them with different congressmen, from Senator Clinton at the time, Lindsey Graham, so it was a Republican to a Democrat, a certain congressman and senators, Debbie Wasserman Schultz. I had them all, and I got the letters. So those people wrote to the prison to start an investigation or ask what's happening. And once that happened, now if you die, they got something to answer to. Like, what do you mean? He starts writing us and now I'll be dead? Because I had friends and family on the outside, and that was key. I hate to say my crime wasn't a sick crime, and you know what I mean. There's sickos in these prisons that are, I'm not going to, support in any way. You were a drug dealer. I was a criminal. I was a robber or whatever it was. I hate to say honorable crimes, but they were, if you want to call them that. And you know how broke the American system is with drug dealers. We got people, 50, 60% of people in prisons are for drug-related shit. If we'd help them get off drugs, even the violent offenders, most of them, who not professionals. I was a professional criminal. I'm talking about the guys who robbed the bank because he's high anyway and he needs money to get drug. That's drug related in some way, not just dealers and runners and stuff like that. But it kind of gets me. My advocacy now, Shaun, is I love prison. I'm gonna do stuff. I built this channel. We're the fastest growing channel on YouTube. I only started this whole channel in November. That's it.
Wow, man.
In November.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's gone crazy. 5 months, Shaun. 5 months.
Jesus.
And, we're doing so good. And what has happened is I'm going to bring this channel to the millions it's going to be. And I'm going to start rallies. I'm going to go from state to state if I have to, and get people elected who are going to fix this place. The first thing we're going to do is get rid of private prisons. I think they there's no place in any criminal justice system to incarcerate your own people for money. You can't justify that. Not one. Oh, we're saving money. What do you mean you're saving money? You're saving money on the backs of people's misery and somebody's son, somebody's daughter, somebody's husband, somebody's girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is. It's wrong. You can't do that. It's what this country was founded on. You should be held accountable. Nobody's saying that. You do a crime, it should be in proportion to what you did. I came up with a model. If you're any crime that's not murder, sadistic crime or rape or something really sick, if it's drugs or robberies or stuff, you should get 3 years. That's it. 3 years.
And drug possession, you shouldn't even get any fucking time.
Should be fucking legal.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so fucking crazy. Listen, you and me, we'll sit down and we'll do a fucking hit ass. We'll have a blast, man. I'm telling you. No,
you're London if you're not banned from traveling.
Well, it's funny. It's some states and countries I can and can't. Canada is hooked up with the American justice system, so they can look you up. If I go to England, it's over 10 years too. So you don't even have to put it on the form. Most of those forms, have you ever been arrested in the last 10 years? No. So I'm good. I'm not even lying on a form. And then you can go into those, most of them. A lot of them don't even give a shit what you did in America. They know the American prison system, and they even know the American criminal justice system is fucked. How many mega CEOs, if you really look in their past, have some shit that happened, whether it's a felony DUI or a felony drug charge, which is bullshit, like you said. You sold ecstasy, you did your fucking deals, but Jesus, you're not fucking murdering people. You're not, doing the shit that happen. People come up with the old justification. Oh, but that leads to this, that leads. Yeah, so what? What are you going to tell me next? Jacking off leads to blindness? Get the fuck out of here. Because you're going to love this. I just did a video on this. I go to the hole in prison for jacking off, right? Listen.
How did you get caught?
This is a true story, Shaun. I just did a video on it. It's coming out next week. I'm in my cell, doing what everybody does. I'm reading a porno magazine, I fucking jack off. Who doesn't do that? I mean, to this day, who doesn't do that?
Gotta be done.
Of course, it's human nature. I even got a doctor to write a letter to say it's healthy. So anyway, and you can look this case up. Your audience can look this case up. If they take my name, Lawrence Lawton, and they look it up into the federal system, they can read the whole case. Because I sued the prison. I sued the Attorney General of the United States and the prison for saying, what are you kidding me? I go to the hole and lose 30 days, 27 days good time because I masturbated? Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, listen, what goes on in prison goes on in prison. It's prison. What are you going to do, But I'm like, I was in my cell, and it was about 1 o'clock. I'm done already. I go to bed, and then knock on the door. We're on lockdown. It's 1 a.m. Guard says, Lawton, lock up. Lock up. What the fuck? I'm on the yard. It's not like I'm in the hole anywhere. I'm not in seg already, or I'm not in, in the shoe. And I says, what? He goes, lock up. The fuck are you talking about? So I end up fucking put my hands lock up. I look up, my buddy's there. I go to the hole. I go down to the shoe. Shoe means special housing unit for your audience. So I go into the shoe, and the guards are laughing. They know me. They go, Lord, what the fuck do you do? And I go, what? I don't know. What the fuck that? And I'm thinking they caught me with football tickets, something, a store. Somebody complained that they owed me money and I had excess stamps. The whole bullshit in prison. And he says, nah, you were caught jerking off. I says, what? He says, yeah. He goes, they wrote you up for jacking off. I said, are you fucking with me, or are you telling me the fucking truth? And I'm in this little cage getting changed out to go to my cell in the shoe. And I ended up fucking going. I show up. My unit manager comes by. They're all like, "Oh man!" I said, "I know you guys are after me. You know what I mean? That's bullshit. I mean, I'm not on the door doing it to, you know what I mean, to a girl guard. I'm not doing anything like that. I'm in my fucking bunk. It says that I'm in my fucking bunk. You want to come watch me? Have fun." But you know, it's crazy. It's fucking. So I ended up suing, and what? And it goes for a while. And what do they do to you? You know what the prison system does, you? They put you in diesel therapy.
Uh,
Hit the bus. They lose your legal work. But did you know they changed the policy so they won't do that anymore? There was actually a policy in there that they can actually do that to you. Now, it makes zero sense in the world because I ended up getting a doctor to write a letter saying it is healthy to any man over 40 years old to ejaculate. You know, obviously you don't want to clock your pipes or whatever you want to call it. So it, it's hilarious when you think about that shit, you know. But it happened to me, and all the crazy shit, you know. Again, there's another book, but I don't know. That story's not in the book. I did a video. I have a whole nother series called. I did my whole book on video on a series. Like there's like 20 videos, 25 videos, or whatever, 21. I don't know, and I did like 25-minute chapters, like a summarization of a chapter in my book, and people love it. That's how this whole started. When, like you said, I think I have 7 million views now on one of them, and so that's how I started this whole chapter.
wow.
I didn't have this shit, and I started this shit now in 5 months. In November, what are we in? April 4. 5 months. We're at whatever near 360 or whatever thousand. We'll be at. You know, YouTube predicted we'll be at our million mark by the end of the year easily.
Wow.
I don't know, you know. I just keep plugging along and enjoying it. Until if I don't enjoy it, I won't do it. You
Well,
know.
I appreciate your time, Larry. We've gone over an hour. Is there anything you'd like to say in conclusion to the people watching this?
You know, just check our YouTube out. You know, keep what you're doing. I think the more voices out there, opening people's eyes to, you know, one, that we're good people. I mean, we made our mistakes. We're not justifying anything, but we're human. And you'd have did the same thing. Most people would have if they had the opportunity and the brains and whatever. I'm glad they don't, because I don't want people to go through what we went through, Shaun. You know, you and I. And live your life. Stay safe during this whole thing. Check out our YouTube channel. I did a whole series on books. I only got about 300 left of a limited edition signed books. And I did that because, you know, in England, my book was going for $600 to $1,000. And I said, wait a minute, somebody's fucking doing this shit with my product. I ended up doing a run, a limited edition, signed copies, numbered, the whole works. So, but I'll send you one. So make sure after the show, Shaun, send me your address. You'll love it. It's a wild ride. You'll understand it, obviously. And then we'll get together sometime. You can tell me some stories. So maybe
Yeah,
I'll do an interview. I really don't do many interviews on YouTube, but I will. I do some of them, the book people, but I think we can start doing a series like that. Somebody wanted me to do that. So, because we're getting so many views. I mean, I just did a GTA video and get 3.5 minutes. Don't even ask me what the fuck GTA is. Funny story, quick one. I keep getting, the fuck is GTA? I call my son, who's 30. I said, hey, son, what's going on? What's GTA? He starts cracking up. First of all, I said, what's GTA V? He's laughing. He goes, Pops, that's Grand Theft Auto 5. I go, oh, shit. I end up doing a review of one that's 3.5 million views later. You
holy
know,
shit.
just reviewing this crazy shit. But keep up what you're doing, Shaun. We need voices. Glad to meet you as well, and we'll stay in touch. And if you need anything, let me know. And again, maybe we'll connect when I get to England someday.
Absolutely. I'll take you out for a Guinness and fish and chips. And if there's
Uh,
anything that
are
you
you in
need,
the United States? I just wanted
no,
to
I'm banned from most countries for life. Yeah, yeah. But I appreciate your time, Larry. And if there's anything I can do for you, you just let me know. We'll be glad to
Absolutely, Shaun.
anything
I,
else.
I appreciate everything as well. Like I said, stay safe during this crazy time,
Yeah.
and we'll stay connected. Like I said, send me your stuff, and I'll send you a book. Have a great one, Shaun.
Cheers. Thank you,
All
Larry.
right, take
See
care,
you.
bud.